Hat from production. Bullet Train. So Bullet Train is based off a book I've never read, and it's directed by David Leitch. He directed Atomic Blonde and Deadpool 2. From that, you should know what kind of movie you're in for with this. So we have Brad Pitt. He plays a hitman codenamed Ladybug. He's assigned to a job where he has to get on this bullet train in Japan, and he has to find a briefcase and get off the train. Simple, right? Only thing is, there are a bunch of other people on this train who are there for different reasons revolving around this briefcase and other things bobbing and weaving throughout, and chaos ensues from there. And now we have our movie, which I gotta say I had a lot more fun with than I thought I was gonna have. Like, seeing the trailers for this, I thought this was gonna be like Gunpowder Milkshake. You remember that one? You know, just a basic hitman movie there to be stylistic and fun, but that's it. And yeah, this movie was stylistic and fun, but it did it really well, I thought. First of all, Brad Pitt, he was actually really funny in this movie. In fact, this movie in general, I thought was pretty funny. Cause he's going on about how unlucky he's been in his career. The way he acts, he's always like Charlie Brown syndrome, where things just don't go his way. He can throw down though. He's good in a fight, he just acts like nothing goes his way. That's pretty funny.
Ladybug's supposed to be lucky. Ha!
You don't have bad luck.
Really?
Then we have Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry. They played Lemon and Tangerine, a couple of other hitmen who are there for their own reasons. They're actually the funniest part of the movie. The first scene they have together, the dialogue, I was like, okay, so this is some Tarantino-esque shit. In fact, I would say this movie is pretty much, I'd almost call it an homage to Kill Bill Volume 1. Because there are a lot of things in this movie that reminded me of that. Joey King is in this movie. She plays a character called The Prince. She's there for her own reasons. Andrew Koji's in this movie. He's actually really good. In fact, I liked his motivation a lot, actually. He's the one I kind of sympathize with. Well, him and Brad Pitt, I guess. So with all these different characters in place, the movie was surprisingly not hard to follow. Each of the characters have their own backstories that the movie does go over in really neat stylistic ways. You're like, all right, now I know why that character's here. Let's proceed with the story. Sometimes the editing and the cuts, they go by really fast. Like if it's a really brief flashback, it'll be just like 2 seconds, like boom, boom, boom. All right, now we're back here. Like if you blink, you miss it. So you really gotta be alert when watching this movie. And the movie is really funny too. Like that scene where Brad Pitt and Aaron Taylor Johnson are fighting, and then the woman with the cart comes in and asks if anyone wants anything. I laughed my ass off at that.
Anything sparkling? That's the one. Thank you. Domo arigato. You sure you don't want to talk this out?
Not particularly, no.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes in this movie, there will be build up to something that you think will be really climactic, but then it'll just cut off and then cut to another scene. That happens quite a few times actually in this movie, and I was like, well, okay, I get you trying to be stylistic, and you're trying to keep us on our toes, but that still doesn't keep me from going, I wanted to see what happens next. One thing I will say definitely could have been better in this movie was the visual effects. The CG, like when the train is going, sometimes you get the wide establishing shots. I was like, yeah, that's a little too fake looking. I don't remember when this movie was originally going to come out, but when the release date did get pushed, I don't know, they could have cleaned up the VFX a little bit. I did like the action in this movie though. This movie's very violent, it's rated R. That's pretty much what reminded me the most of Kill Bill Volume 1, is that this movie is unapologetically violent. People are fighting with swords or their fists or guns. The stylistic editing, very Tarantino-esque. The dialogue. Yeah, like I said, this movie's pretty much a complete homage to Kill Bill 1. In a good way though, it doesn't completely rip it off. I mean, there is a revenge story, kind of, sort of, in this movie. But it's not the main point. There are surprises in this movie. Of course, I'm not going to spoil what they are. But a couple of cameos here and there, you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's cool. The music in this movie is interesting. I mean, you have your score, which is completely forgettable. Seriously, I literally just saw this movie like a couple hours ago, and I don't remember a single note from the score. True story. But then there's the soundtrack, and yeah, they had that Japanese version of Stayin' Alive by the Bee Gees that we heard in the trailer. That's in the beginning of this movie. All in all, the music in this movie is not bad, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to get either the soundtrack or the score. But in the end, I did enjoy Bullet Train, like I said, more than I thought I would. I do like the characters. The movie is actually really funny, pretty witty. The action's really cool, the editing is really neat, stylistic, it's written well. Just a couple of dings, one for the visual effects, and another for sometimes the editing was a little too quick. Like, oh, blink and you miss it, you really gotta keep up with it. But for the most part, I did think the movie was pretty easy to follow. I give it props for that. Forgettable music though. For Bullet Train, I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. And yeah, I know this movie's been getting some mixed reviews, and I'm not saying this is like the best movie of the year, because it's not, but you just gotta know what you're in for with this one. So Bullet Train, have you seen it yet? What do you think about it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm heading back to the future at the Hollywood Bowl tonight. That's gonna be awesome. Peace!